Welcome to Let's Talk Space Medicine. I'm Kyle Anderson, your medical student / space nerd host. For your listening entertainment, I gather my other medically inclined space nerd friends to talk all things space medicine. With our powers combined, we hope to explore and entertain the medical questions that stand between us and the stars. Today's episode, bone loss, breaking the bone problem. During this episode, we hope to explore the question, would you use bisphosphonate drugs to treat spaceflight-related bone loss for a long-duration space mission? As a brief disclaimer, anything discussed on Let's Talk Space Medicine should not be considered medical advice, and is therefore not a substitute for seeking medical help from a doctor. So, today's episode, bone loss, breaking the bone problem. I figured we'd start with an episode near and dear to my heart, as my PhD work is in bone biology. So let's get started. Almost any time I talk to someone about space medicine, they routinely think of losing bone mass as one of the most major complications. So, what can we do about it? Can we simply give astronauts osteoporosis medications? Bisphosphonate drugs are the first-line therapy for treating women with postmenopausal osteoporosis, but these drugs are not typically used on a mission to the International Space Station, where bone health can be significantly affected without preventative measures. Bisphosphonate drugs are not likely used because of the potential risks of esophagitis and osteonecrosis of the jaw, as well as the relative effectiveness of exercise countermeasures and low fracture risks during missions aboard the ISS. However, measures of astronaut bone density are not predictive of skeletal fragility, and longitudinal effects of spaceflight on bone health remain relatively unknown. Furthermore, bone physiology in sustained lunar and Martian gravity is completely unknown, even without factoring menopausal status of female astronauts. Therefore, when contemplating a long-duration mission, a flight surgeon could consider a bisphosphonate drug to significantly benefit astronaut bone health. In general, bone health can be thought of as both bone quantity as well as bone quality factors that lead to overall bone strength. Bisphosphonate drugs are a medication that work by disrupting osteoclast-mediated bone resorption, which results in more bone being formed and therefore increases mechanical strength. While it is unknown whether spaceflight-related bone loss may differ mechanistically than terrestrial osteoporosis, the alterations to bone tissue in spaceflight are very similar to terrestrial osteoporosis by decreases in bone mass and altered matrix composition. Indeed, astronauts aboard the ISS have taken bisphosphonates with significant benefit to bone mass above resistive exercise alone. One important note is that, in terms of bone quality, bisphosphonates are often viewed negatively, as halting bone remodeling can prevent repair of microdamage that accumulates in the bone tissue. Despite of this, bone quantity usually outweighs bone quality in their overall contributions to bone strength, making, in my opinion, preservation of bone mass arguably a higher priority. This leads me to believe that long-duration space missions could be greatly benefited by bisphosphonate drug use when we are facing the unknown effects of skeletal adaptations to extended stays in lunar and Martian gravity. So what do you think? Is it as easy as giving osteoporosis medications to astronauts on long-duration space missions? Or does the potential for side effects, or even the supply of the medication to astronauts, make you think otherwise? Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Space Medicine. If you want to continue the discussion and meet more fellow space nerds, be sure to check out @TalkSpaceMed on Twitter and the Nexus Aurora server on Discord. Thanks, and see you next episode.